Hey, NFL and Falcons fans, welcome to another episode of Jocks and Pigskins on the Atlanta Sports Unlimited channel with Tom Pollen, Chris Smitherman behind the scenes. I'm Dave Holcomb. It's championship weekend, one of the best weekends in sports all year long, right? I was telling my wife last night that it's one of the best days of the year, Championship Sunday.
It is even better than Super Bowl Sunday, I think.
I
It's
think,
always
yeah.
delivered more than Super Bowl Sunday in most years.
Yeah, and I was explaining to her why it's better than Super Bowl Sunday, and she was like, "Is it better than Valentine's Day?" I was like, "Yes." Is it better than Christmas Day? I was like, it's close. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Championship Sunday. We have a great show today to preview the two games that are going to be happening tomorrow. We've got prize picks also for you for Championship Sunday.
Yep.
And we got some NFL coaching news. 3 coaches hired this week. Another one retired in the NFC South. That's going to be of
Yep.
interest, I think, to our Falcons fans. So we'll talk about Sean Payton retiring towards the end of the show. Today's video brought to you by our sponsor, Prize Picks. We'll have picks for Prize Picks Championship Sunday later on in the show. But download the app, get started. I really got started last week. I was explaining to Tom, I made my first picks on the show last week and placed some money down on some players and won some money. It was fun watching the games for that aspect of it too, the prize picks.
Yeah, all of a sudden Dave tweets out, he says, "Man, I don't know why I haven't done this all year."
Yeah. I know. I guess probably just I needed to take that leap. There was just a lot going on with fantasy and the Falcons and your own team and our show. The playoffs have given me opportunity to really dive into prize picks and I like it.
Yeah, boy, things were going well for me. Deebo Samuel got me, his rushing yards on his last carry.
Yeah,
When
me
he
too.
got San Francisco into field goal range. I fell 3 yards short on Devontae Adams, though. So just it can be frustrating as heck. As I say, it's like playing fantasy football.
Yeah.
It'll drive you nuts because every time you think you know exactly what's going to happen during a week, you find out exactly what kind of expert you are when something falls apart on you like that.
Well, it's so game flow oriented,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Deebo Samuel is capable of getting 36 rushing yards every single week, but are the 49ers going to be ahead? Are they going to be in a situation where they're running the ball with Samuel a lot?
Right.
He got injured in the fourth quarter and left the game. It looked like maybe he was going to finish short because of that, but he came back in the game. And without that blocked punt, Samuels probably doesn't get the opportunity to get the yardage there for us.
No, that block punt was amazing. Everything that happened last weekend, I don't know. It was a crazy weekend. That was one of the best weekends of football ever.
Yeah.
It really was.
Absolutely. It's a shame that, we don't have like a second show on Monday or Tuesday to recap the weekend. Our show is more oriented towards, tomorrow's games, always the next week.
Right.
But we could spend all hour talking about last week's games. They were fantastic games.
Yeah. I mean, and topped by that Kansas City Buffalo Bills game.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know how to describe it except you found 2 quarterbacks. We watch sports because of the competition. We're all competitive. We want our home teams to do well. We want our teams to do well. And we want, we look for competitive, but every now and then, whether it's your team or not, you find that moments or players who just reach above what you normally would expect. I mean, Mahomes and Josh Allen kind of reached up and touched perfection for 2 minutes. They each reached up and reached perfection. as what they were doing, and it was just awe-inspiring. And that's one of the bonuses you get when you watch sports is you never know when somebody is going to make that jump, uh, make that reach beyond what you would normally think is possible, uh, and and really astound you. And as I say, you reach for perfection all the time. Very few ever touch it. And Mahomes and Allen touched perfection for 2 minutes, and it was incredible.
Pre-bound, I think first time commenter on our show
Yes.
is I think he's saying it's a little too good to be true that the games felt a little bit scripted. Pre-bound, if you want to elaborate on that point and say why. I don't remember any like specific calls that I felt like by officials that
No.
would signal that the league was trying to keep it close. Or I know Tampa Bay came back in that game that was a blowout, but that was the Rams.
That was the Rams letting them back.
Much almost blowing it. It wasn't even your boy Matthew Stafford who was blowing it.
I know.
Cam Akers and everybody else just couldn't hold onto the ball.
Yep. I know. It was amazing. Matthew Stafford, he wasn't the reason why things were falling apart.
I know. Yeah, I thought of you during that
out.
I was like, if the Rams don't win this, I'm going to hear all about Matthew Stafford from Tom next week. But Matthew Stafford's not doing anything wrong.
Right. Yeah, Cam Akers, my God, just fumble fingers all of a sudden last week. He couldn't hang on to anything.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. And they almost paid the price. Tampa Bay almost got it back. Of course, one of my favorite moments last weekend was Robbie Gould.
I'm sure, yeah.
Former Bear lines up and just nails that winning field goal. Yeah, I know San Francisco didn't score any points on offense. But, Green Bay, that first drive was so good. They looked like that they were going to do whatever they wanted. They were going to be able to score at will against San Francisco.
Yeah.
And San Francisco just tightened it up. And Rodgers couldn't do anything else the rest of the game. I don't think Green Bay drove into the end zone the rest of the game. Or maybe if they did once or twice. I don't remember, but I don't think they did. And it was pretty bad. And
I agree with you. I think what you're saying about we can talk all we want about the Packers special teams and how bad they were. They were really bad, of course, but the offense.
Their offense was worse.
You can't score one touchdown and win a playoff game.
No,
that's not going to happen.
Well,
I guess San Francisco did.
Yeah, but you can't score 0 touchdowns and on offense and win a playoff game. But yeah, Frisco did it last week.
Yeah, but for the most part, you got Aaron Rodgers. Your team is built on offense. You're not going to win if that offense doesn't perform. You're not going to win with 10 points. They could have won with 13 with if they had not had that blocked field goal, but
but that's been another thing this year. Their field goal unit's been terrible. Mason Crosby has just been awful this year.
Well, did you heard during the game what Troy Aikman and Joe Buck said that Matt LaFleur said about his special teams before the game?
No, I didn't. I didn't catch that part.
He said, I just hope they don't screw it up.
Wow.
That gives you a lot of confidence about
you. Vote of confidence from your coach. That always does it for you, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. And San Francisco didn't have a great special teams unit this year either, but much better than Green Bay, especially when it mattered last week. But
makes up for a lot when you have a Robbie Gould as your kicker.
True.
Because he's never missed a postseason field goal attempt.
Wow.
And just nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're probably, in for another drama-filled Aaron Rodgers offseason, which, fills my mouth with vomit a little bit. But I guess that's kind of the way the league is to a certain extent, especially in the offseason. It thrives on the drama, and Aaron Rodgers is not been short of drama over the last few seasons, and it just keeps escalating his drama. Even during the season, he was drama king, and I think we're headed that way too. And we can talk about him, and will he try to finagle a trade to Denver with the Broncos landing offensive coordinator, former Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett as their next coach. We can talk about that a little bit later in the show. But I want to get to the championship games. Hi, Pantera. He's weighing in and says hi. Thanks for joining us today. And Larry Orange says, I never knew Aaron Rodgers was such a diva. I'm sure Tom can tell us that he's been a diva since 2006. Yeah. But
I can tell you exactly how much of a diva Aaron Rodgers is.
I agree with you, though, Larry. I did not think that Aaron Rodgers was this bad. I don't participate in a lot of the, following the players' families and wives and that stuff. I don't do that very much. I know Aaron Rodgers years ago wasn't talking to his family or whatever, and people thought he was such a jerk for not doing that. And I would defend him. I would say, we don't know what his family's done to him. We're not in that situation. It's not for me to judge. Well, I think his family probably is justified in not wanting to talk to him. Although I guess it was him not wanting to talk to his family.
Whichever way it goes, I don't think they're doing anything any worse for not having contact with them. And I know that sounds mean, but to heck with it. I'll be mean as I keep putting it this way: Aaron Rodgers has never appeared in a Super Bowl since he started doing State Farm commercials. You always have that.
I mean, even the State Farm, he's only been to one Super Bowl, even, before the State Farm commercial.
And that's it. And that's one of the things is, the Packers, for all their, having two Hall of Fame quarterbacks for the last, 30 years have gone to 3 Super Bowls.
Right.
And it's just astounding, between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, how that franchise has underperformed over the course of all these years. It's a damning thing. Aaron Rodgers, you got to look at it and say, you can blame anybody you want, but your quarterback has got to be the man to do it. I mean, and he hasn't performed. He didn't perform last year when he was in the red zone against Tampa and had a chance to tighten that game up, and didn't perform this year. Got 1 touchdown, and that was it. He got nowhere close to the end zone the rest of the game.
Yeah.
It just doesn't cut it as a premier quarterback.
I agree. I think this loss, even though, again, we can blame special teams all we want, I think it was a bigger indictment on Aaron Rodgers than the Packers. I know it's a fun fact. Hey, the Packers have as many Super Bowl wins over the last 25 years as the Baltimore Ravens do, with Trent Dilfer and Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
And the Packers have had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. That's a fun stat to bring up, especially if you don't like the Packers. But to me, Aaron Rodgers' playoff record, 1-4 in NFC Championship games. We talked for years that it was just, let's get him a home NFC Championship. That's the problem. He never gets to play at home in the NFC Championship game. Well, they had home field advantage the last 2 years, and they lost in the championship game at home last year, and then this year they didn't even make it to the championship game. So, and that's on Aaron Rodgers. That's on your leader. He's going to be the MVP of the league again, probably, and he's come up small in the playoffs in the big moments.
Yeah, exactly. And Bears fans like we do the Aaron Rodgers has been to as many Super Bowls as Rex Grossman, so that's our joke here. But you want to be an elite quarterback, you have to raise the level of your team. Kind of like what Mahomes and Allen did last week. Those two just took their teams on their backs and basically said, we refuse. We are going to impose our will on the other team. And they did that. And it's just, as I say, it was incredible. And you've never seen Aaron Rodgers do that. but you know,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
the way it is.
And it's amazing that the year they won the Super Bowl too, they were the sixth seed. They barely made the playoffs. I know that was a good team, and they kind of lost some games they probably shouldn't have in December because Aaron Rodgers was injured
Right.
just before the playoffs. But that was a team that barely made the playoffs and were the sixth seed and kind of got hot when it really counted. And then they've had so many other teams with Rodgers that number one seed or other years where they got hot and made the playoffs as a division winner, had a home playoff game and lost. So it's that to me is maybe the most incredible thing, other than the NFC Championship record, is the one year he did break through. He won 3 road games to go
He
to
was
the
also playing against the Bears' backup quarterback in the NFC Championship game.
that
Jay
too.
Cutler injured his
Yeah,
knee
right.
just before the half.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that had a lot to do with it too, because oh God, who was the backup then? Threw an interception to Raji that kind of almost put the Bears out. Completely put the Bears out of the game. And it's again, he got fortunate that he was able to get through that one. They won the Super Bowl. I give him credit for that.
Yeah, I mean they beat the Falcons, the number one seed that year in Atlanta. They beat the Steelers, who had a pretty good defense that season. So, I mean they earned it that year for sure. They were fortunate to have the injury to Jay Cutler, but I think they probably win that game anyway.
Yeah, so do I. But hey, you know, considering how good the Bears defense was that year and the fact that Aaron Rodgers is very good at blowing things, and uh, I still wasn't giving up on that game.
All right. Well, as a Steelers fan, I would have preferred to play, Jay Cutler. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'd have taken you.
All right.
Yeah, kicked your ass all the way back to Pittsburgh.
Oh, here's an interesting question from Pantera. Would you trade Matt for Aaron?
Not now. Not at the age both of them are. Uh, Ryan is going to be 39 next season.
Matt Ryan? I think he's going to be
Oh
37.
no, yeah, Ryan's going to be 37. I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is going to be.
He just turned 38. Birthday in December.
Just turned 38. So, and I say no, because to me, as I say, and I studied this one time, and I still have to reproduce the research. Quarterbacks tend to fall off when they reach the age of 37 to 38.
Yeah.
So, right now, no. I wouldn't make any kind of deal like that. If anybody wants to make a deal for Aaron Rodgers, I mean, go ahead and do it. You're not going to get much out of him anymore. It's just, you might make an improvement. Well, Denver, yeah, I guess Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, yeah, he's going to be an improvement over that. But no, I would definitely not trade Matt Ryan and try and get Aaron Rodgers. That's just not going to work, and it's not going to be a good thing. Falcons fans may look at that and say, wow, what an acquisition at the start. Midway through next season, you're not going to be happy with it.
Yeah, and I mean, put Aaron Rodgers behind that offensive line, and without an elite receiver, he's not going to be happy. And I don't think the offense would have done much better, to be honest, than the Falcons' offense ended up doing this year. So.
No, and I don't think what he wants to do on the field meshes with what Arthur Smith wants to do on the field. So, Rodgers is more of a take it downfield type of guy, and that's why he loves Devontae Adams. Boy, and there was that one pass last week. Did you see from overhead? Alan Lazard was cutting across the middle wide open, and Rodgers still tried to force the ball into double coverage to Devontae Adams.
I did not
Yeah,
see that. That was in the fourth quarter.
that was in the fourth quarter.
Hmm.
Yeah, Alan Lazard was cutting across the middle of the field, wide open. Nobody anywhere 10, 15 yards near it. And Devontae Adams was double covered, and Rodgers tried to get it to Devontae Adams. Was not making good decisions.
Yeah.
So, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So he's
Rodgers will hold grudges if you drop a pass on him or don't do what he needs you to do. He will hold a grudge against you, which is not a good thing for, again, you're looking at a top rate elite quarterback, but that's not one of the characteristics you're looking for out of your quarterback.
it's not a characteristic of a good leader, and I think
No,
that's part of why they have not been able to break through and win another Super Bowl or even get to another Super Bowl. It's all part of the problem. That his leadership, and look, I don't love sports commentators talking about leadership because we're not in the locker room. We don't really know what's going on. So this is, I mean, the whole industry is based on speculation. I get that, but leadership is a really hard thing for me to talk about and listen to, and it's such an intangible. It is an intangible that it's hard to see and identify.
yeah,
But yeah, to me, I agree with you that it appears from the outside that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that, X factor that like a Tom Brady has in terms of being a leader in the huddle and for his team to elevate them, like you're talking about.
yeah. I mean, Tom Brady may look at you and chew you out on the field or on the sideline for missing a play or missing a pass or running a wrong route, but then it's over. Then he goes back on the field. He's going to look for you again.
Yeah.
Rodgers is the kind of quarterback who will not. He won't go back to you, and that's always been one of his problems.
So Aaron Rodgers will be sitting at home on his couch like us, watching the games tomorrow.
Yep.
First up will be the Bengals visiting the Chiefs. The Cincinnati Bengals already beat Kansas City this year, clinched the AFC North in Week 17 when they beat the Chiefs. That game was in Cincinnati. This game will be at Arrowhead. The Chiefs hosting their fourth straight AFC Championship. Just an incredible feat for a franchise that I don't know if they'd ever even gone to the playoffs 4 times in a row prior to this. At least prior to Andy Reid arriving there.
Right.
Had not been to the playoffs 4 years.
No, they had plenty of problems before Andy Reid got into town. So it's been a heck of a run for Kansas City. They haven't seen that kind of run since the late '60s, early '70s when Hank Stram was,
right. And I mean, they didn't go to the championship game 4 years in a row. They had some really good teams, but this is
back when Hank Stram was matriculating the ball down the field.
Yeah. So it should be a great matchup and an historic one for Kansas City hosting another big game here. And we talked about last week Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, a rivalry building there. I mean, this is the other potential rivalry quarterback rivalry that's
really
future in the AFC. Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it really is. And I've been saying from the very start that I love Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow was perfect for Cincinnati, and got hurt last year, unfortunately, and it took him a while to come back, but was ready at the beginning of this season. And I think he's shown everybody why he was the perfect number one, first overall pick in the draft that year. 446 yards against Kansas City. That was just an incredible run. 266 to Jamar Chase.
3 touchdowns to Jamar Chase.
Yeah, it's amazing what those two did to Kansas City in that game. And you can't expect that to happen again. All right, Kansas City's, you got to think that Kansas City is going to have some kind of solution to the Jamar Chase problem.
That was going to be my question to you and our followers here. I mean, Chase had a huge game, and the Bengals they only won by a field goal. So I mean, can Chase repeat that? and score a couple of times. I think he probably has to for the Bengals to pull off the upset.
I think the Bengals can pull off the upset. I'm not thinking that they will. The spread is 7 points, so I think the Bengals can cover that definitely.
That's a
Uh,
big spread. I
it,
think it's just nationally, it's Patrick Mahomes and they beat the Bills who are better than the Bengals, so this should be an easy game and the spread. I think that's why the spread's too wide, to be honest.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And it stayed around 7 all week, and you've had a lot of sharp betters, the professional betters have kind of landed on both sides of the number on this one. Uh, the number was at 7. A lot of the professionals went for Kansas City. Number jumped to 7.5, and all of a sudden the sharps jumped on Cincinnati. So it's amazing how the numbers moved with this and how bettors have kind of followed it. So it's going to be a wild game because I don't think anybody knows what you're going to get out of this game. I thought Cincinnati might have, run out of their time last week
Yeah,
facing Tennessee because it's a young team. It's not a team that necessarily you would say he has maturity, he has the ability to, he has been on this big stage before. They haven't been on these stages before. It didn't bother them last week. All right.
right. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And one storyline we didn't talk about last week because of all the other storylines, the things that happened. I mean, Ryan Tannehill throwing 3 interceptions in that game. Cincinnati, maybe I should phrase it, Cincinnati picked him off 3
yes.
times. And that set up the game-winning field goal. And I think Tannehill liked how the other 3 games were so competitive and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady lost, so the spotlight would be away from him. But yeah, I mean, Cincinnati was impressive last week, and are they playing with house money at this point? Do they have that approach? You can't really play with house money in a championship game. You want to go to the Super Bowl, but there's got to be an attitude of we're not really supposed to be here, and let's just go out and
Go out and do
prove
it.
that we can beat the Chiefs again.
And I think with a quarterback like Joe Burrow, I think you might have that attitude from Cincinnati coming out. I don't think they're going to be afraid of Kansas City in this game. And a lot of teams, when you head into the playoffs, when you're facing the human cheat code, that you know, you're going to go into it with a little bit of, can we stop them? Can we make something happen? Can we get a couple of stops against their offense? But I don't think Burrow's going to worry about that.
Either. No.
And you consider that the Bengals were actually down 28-17 at the half the last time they faced them, and came out and shut Kansas City down in the second half. They had a solution for Kansas City when it came time for the second half. And you have to think that they're going into it with some ideas of what they're going to do based on what they saw last week. Now, the problem is with Mahomes, if he's on,
you just got to try and match them. You got to try and match them with your own offense and hope that they don't win the coin toss in overtime. Unfortunately, that's what that game came down to. And we could spend a lot of time talking about the overtime rule. We really could. If there are any listeners out there that want to weigh in on how they feel about the NFL overtime rules, I would love to hear what you think, and we could dive into that conversation. That was a big discussion point Monday morning this past week. But I don't see any. If Mahomes is on, like you're saying, you got to hope that Joe Burrow's ready to go.
I mean, there are just times when you think you might have Mahomes shut down, Mahomes corralled in the backfield, Mahomes, you're chasing him, and all of a sudden he comes up with a play. And that's what frustrates you about Patrick Mahomes. When he gets into one of these one of these runs where it's like, somehow, you know, he's got eyes in the back of his head, eyes in the side of his head, or he's doing something that just gets the ball out, gets the ball to his guys, uh, and it can be frustrating as hell, I guess, for other teams just trying to shut him. And so, I mean, you can have all the solutions you want if Mahomes is in that kind of zone. It's hard to shut him down, but you know, again, Kansas City was shut down in the second half against Cincinnati. They can do it. They've shown they can do it. I think that's going to sustain them going into this game. Uh, it's almost like Cincinnati's going to have to try and squash them early. And I don't know if they can. I don't think they're going to let Jamar Chase run wild again down the center of the field. Or, Jamar Chase made a lot of those plays. Those yards after catch was just incredible how he was able to avoid tacklers.
Well, yeah, last week, Tennessee was playing off of him to not let him run by them, and then you just throw a screen pass out to him, and he runs past you anyway.
Right. Right, exactly. So,
but Gary has an interesting question, kind of about the spread that we're talking about. He asks if you think the Chiefs could it potentially have a letdown after the huge win last week, winning in overtime, excitement, Brittany Matthews spraying champagne over everybody like they'd already won the Super Bowl. Did you see that video?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Patrick Mahomes' wife was spraying champagne over in her press box on all the fans below her, and people were having an uproar about that, but whatever. So do the Chiefs have, after the historic win and they're hearing all week that they're 7-point favorites, is there a potential for a letdown? And I think what you're saying is no.
Yeah. I don't know how what do you say, Dave? I say no.
I would always say that, how can you have a letdown in an AFC Championship game is kind of the approach I would say. I get human nature is human nature, and if the Chiefs players are listening to the media and thinking too much about Sunday's game, yeah, it could naturally, even if they tell themselves I'm ready for this game, maybe they're not. But I don't envision that is the case, that they're probably not listening to the media, not paying attention to people like us, and they're focused on the Bengals and stopping Jamar Chase. And I think the Chiefs will be ready to play.
Yeah, and never listen to people like us.
Yeah.
This is a team that's been there, Gary. This is a team that knows what it takes to get to the Super Bowl. They know it's not over yet. As big a win as euphoric as it was for them last week, this is a team that I could see going back on Monday morning and saying, "All right, let's get ready. We got another game here," because they've been there. They've done this before. This isn't new for them. So I don't think that they went in. They're going in looking at anything except once Monday morning hit, they started looking at the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's back down to business. So no, they're not good. There's not going to be a letdown here.
Before we move into the NFC Championship, Pantera just weighed in with he would take the Bengals +7. I think I would too if I was a betting man, which I am not, but if I was.
I would say yes, definitely take Bengals +7.
And Larry Orange just flat out asks what we think about the NFL overtime rules in the playoffs. Yes, I think they need to be reworked. The NHL, that sport where with the puck on the ice that us Georgians don't really know very much about. Hey, there was actually some snow out on my deck today, Tom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, white stuff. Like, wow, what is that? But there's this sport called hockey, and they have two different overtime rules, one for the regular season, one for the playoffs. And both are exciting, where you got 3-on-3 in the regular season, then a shootout, which I get it. NHL purists don't love the shootout, but it's exciting. It's cool. It's a good way to quickly end the game in the regular season. And then you have this 5-on-5 marathon playoff overtimes that are also extremely exciting. Some of the best memories I have watching sports are watching NHL overtime games in the playoffs. So can the NFL adapt some kind of system where, okay, we'll stick with the coin toss, 10-minute overtime period in the regular season, but I know they have a 15-minute period in playoff overtime, but go with the 15 minutes. Both teams get the ball. Both teams have to get the ball, and just go from there. I don't like the college rules. I don't really want to do the shootout thing where you get the ball to 25. Just play a regular football game and have both teams get the ball. And if that means the Chiefs and Bills score all night, then great. Let's just keep watching football. It's one. I get player safety and this and that, but it's not a regular season game. It's a postseason game, and it's a crime that Josh Allen didn't get the ball on Sunday night.
Well, yeah, and some people say 2 years ago it was a crime that Patrick Mahomes didn't get the ball.
Well, I would say the same thing. Yeah, and I think it was fitting that Kansas City got the short end of the stick 2 years ago, and then they won the coin toss this time and won right away.
Look, overtime used to be terribly unfair because basically you could take the kickoff, drive about 40 yards, and kick the field goal, and that was it. The game was over.
And I agree with you, and I think it's much better than it used to be, but it can still be improved. It can still get better, especially when 20 years ago, whatever. When I guess I'll go even further back. When we started overtime 40 years ago, field goal kickers weren't as accurate, offenses weren't as efficient, and defenses were much better. The rules enabled defenses to be much better. It was harder to kick a field goal in overtime to win. Then field goal kickers got better, offenses got better, and it was easy to get into field goal range, kick a long field goal, and win an overtime game after winning the coin toss. That's why we had to adapt the rules. The game has evolved again, where you have quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes. If he's getting the ball, game's over. It's the same thing with the Falcons in the Super Bowl. We should have been outraged at the fact that the MVP of the league that year, Matt Ryan, did not get the ball in overtime of the Super Bowl. Tom Brady going right down and winning it. I get it. The Falcons defense didn't get a stop, and they didn't deserve to win. But in a perfect world, if we're really trying to get a perfect system, both teams got to get the ball.
And I say you still got to play defense.
You're gonna play contrarian.
You still have to play defense. It's part of the game.
I agree with you, but
if you want to get the ball back, you better shut them down.
So you don't think it should be changed at all? You like the current system?
This last game disappointed me so much because, Josh Allen didn't get a chance to get the ball back. And I would say you guarantee both teams a possession, then you go from there. Then it's sudden death. Then a field goal will win it for you. I will go that far with it, but no farther. They drawn the line there, but no farther.
I mean, that would be improvement from what they have, so I would be for that.
But still, I mean, the offenses were basically just at a different level because of their quarterbacks. At some point, you want to win a game, you better play defense. You better stop them. At least once. So, part of me says, well, Buffalo had one of the best defenses in the league during the season. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't stop Kansas City. Now, Patrick Mahomes was in a zone, playing special in the way that very few quarterbacks have ever played before.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen was doing the same thing.
Right, exactly. So, like, I get what you're saying about the defense needing to get a stop, and I'm a defensive fan. I would like to say, yeah, well, your defense blew it. You didn't win the game. But it still comes down to the fact to me that if the Bills win the coin toss, they win the game because I don't believe the Chiefs defense was stopping Josh Allen. They weren't keeping him out of the end zone either. So the Chiefs didn't really, the Chiefs defense didn't win the game for them.
No.
They almost lost it for him twice. And the only reason why they escaped unscathed from our wrath as fans and sports writers was because they didn't go on the field in overtime. And that's what's unfair.
Right. It is. And I'm willing to admit that. All right. I'm willing to go that far.
All right.
But no further.
Okay. Well, we got to get to the NFC Championship. We also have prize picks still and hopefully some coaching carousel talk here in the last few minutes. NFC Championship between two division rivals in the same state. San Francisco 49ers visiting the Los Angeles Rams. The 49ers, the 6th seed in this matchup, but they have beaten the Rams in 6 straight matchups, including a Week 18 game where the 49ers had to win to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the Rams were ahead in that game 17-0. I was covering the Falcons and Saints, and the Saints fans were all happy. All right, we're gonna go to the playoffs because we're beating the crap out of the Falcons here, and the 49ers are losing. Well, the 49ers came back, beat the Rams a 6th straight time, and now they get a rematch with the Rams in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, but remember, the Rams didn't really have anything to play for in that game.
Well, actually, they could have been playing for the 2 seed. Maybe they should have played a little bit harder for that and not had to go to Tampa last week, but they're still in the championship game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's. I know San Francisco has this. They're in the Rams' minds right now, and that's something that the Rams are going to have to overcome, because I'm sure they're thinking about that heading into this game.
mm-hmm.
Boy, I would say when all things are being equal, take the team with the best quarterback. But boy, you got Jimmy Garoppolo against Matthew Stafford. What's your choice there?
Man, Matthew Stafford played very well last week.
Yes, he did.
He really did. He outplayed Tom Brady.
I know. No, he did.
And I like Jimmy Garoppolo. As I said last week, he just keeps on winning. He keeps silencing the critics with wins, although the critics seem to keep getting louder because he doesn't play well when he wins. And I get that. And that's why I would say the Rams have the quarterback edge, because I think Stafford is out to prove people wrong, like you, Tom, this postseason. And he's playing like that. The Rams also have a good running game when they can hold on to the ball, that is.
Yeah.
And I think that even against a good 49ers defense that shut down Aaron Rodgers last week, I think that gives the Rams the edge here.
Well, one of the problems you also have is Jimmy Garoppolo's hurt. He's got thumb problems. He's also got, I think he had an elbow issue too. Jimmy Garoppolo's hurt. And that makes a big difference in a game. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Jimmy Garoppolo plays hurt anyway. It's, he plays like he's not a very good quarterback. I think Garoppolo is a good quarterback. That's the problem. But they're catching Garoppolo hurt, and that's going to be an issue. Deebo Samuel's only effective if you can get the ball to him. George Kittle's only effective if you can get the ball to him. You got to get the ball to these guys before you can do any, before they become the weapons that they are. And
I also think last week we were taking for granted the weather in Green Bay, how cold it was. It was snowy. That could have been.
That was Packers weather. That was the weather Packers supposed to love.
Well, I'm not talking about just the Packers. I'm talking about the 49ers. I mean, George Kittle dropped a ball. We never see that. And Jimmy Garoppolo started the game like 1 for 6 or 1 for 7. there were 2 or 3 drops in there. So yeah, we can say, well, Garoppolo's playing awful. Look at that stat line, but he wasn't getting much help. And that weather will not be an issue in Los Angeles.
No. No, that's not going to be a problem. Not at that big castle that
Right.
in Los Angeles. But I don't know. Do you want to see the Rams host the Super Bowl from their home stadium? Second year in a row that would happen, actually.
Yeah, I don't really want to see that. And yeah, second year in a row. I guess we're due for that because it's been close a few times and didn't happen. Finally happened last year, and now maybe second year in a row. So I would rather that not be the case because I just think it's kind of an unfair advantage. Tampa Bay had an unfair advantage last year, even though there was limited capacity in fans, I think, and obviously Chief fans get tickets to the game. It's a neutral site in terms of how many fans are allowed for each team, but still, you get to sleep in your own bed. You get to stay. You're relaxing with your family during the week or whatever. You're not in a hotel and you're working out at your own facility as normal. There's a lot of advantages that us fans don't really realize about playing a game in your own stadium, and that's really not fair. And when it happens in the Super Bowl, but I mean, it is what it is. It's coincidence if this happens again.
I tell you what, the thing is, statistically, the 49ers are first in the league in net passing yards per attempt. Amazing, isn't it? Because the Rams are number 2. You would not think that would be the case. But no. 49ers are first net passing yards per attempt. Rams number 2. 49ers are 5th on defense in net passing yards per attempt allowed. The Rams are 12th. So, passer rating, Matthew Stafford's 5th. Well, the 49ers were 9th in the league in passer rating. So these teams aren't as far apart on offense as you might think from the start. They're both capable. The 49ers are better rushing the ball. Now, of course, the Rams are best on defense against the run, but both the Rams and the 49ers are 5th in runs per yard against allowed, 4.0.
Yeah.
So don't underestimate the 49ers going into this game. They can match up with the Rams in a couple of different areas. You're looking at Cam Akers for the Rams as being a top running back. Well, Elijah Mitchell is going to carry the ball well for San Francisco. You got Cooper Kupp, but San Francisco's got Deebo Samuel. So you got a lot of, and San Francisco has a very good defense. I mean, they really went against it. They went, after Aaron Rodgers after that first drive last week. So you can't really underestimate San Francisco's ability to stay with the Rams and play with the Rams in this game. It's very possible they could win. I don't think they will, especially because Garoppolo's hurt. And he can't put the ball quite where he wants to put the ball. A thumb injury for a quarterback is just major. It's terrible. And Stafford can talk to that too, because 2011, I was writing about the Detroit Lions, and Stafford had a thumb injury, and it was terrible. He couldn't hit anybody. Until that thumb healed, the Lions struggled. When the thumb healed, he turned back. He got back to being, hitting his passes, hitting it accurate. But at that time, you can't control the ball well if you can't grip the way you want to grip it. And that could be one of the big turning points of this game is the fact that Garoppolo might not be able to throw as effectively as Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. Something that we don't think about too, I think, as often as maybe we should. The guys that are playing hurt. We talk about injuries and and guys not playing because of injury, but the guys playing through injury. Everybody's got nagging injuries at this point.
Yeah.
Play through them, but how effective will you be with those injuries? Larry Orange asks if Trey Lance is going to play tomorrow.
It depends on how Garoppolo comes out. I think they're going to try and keep the ball out of Garoppolo's hands, keep him from trying to do too much at the beginning. I don't think, as a matter of fact, I don't think Brandon Ayuk is going to see a lot of targets early, because I think they're going to try and keep the ball in Mitchell's hands. Let Deebo Samuel run the ball out of the backfield, or jet sweep, and try and do it that way and see how well, and get Garoppolo into the game before they try and do anything else, and see if they can stay close to the Rams early in the game by maybe keeping things short, keeping things more controlled. But yeah, if they need to go long, if it comes to a point where they need to start stretching the field, yeah, Trey Lance might end up playing some. I could see that. I don't think it's a great opportunity for the 49ers. I think because he has absolutely zero playoff experience. He barely has any regular season experience.
Right. Yeah.
He's talented, but you're facing Aaron Donald and God, I'm blanking on names.
Von Miller and some of the
Miller, Jalen Ramsey in the back. You're facing a lot of guys that are going to make things hell for you on defense, can change things up on defense. They're used to working together. Leonard Floyd, that was the other name I was trying to think of. So, one of these days, Dave, it's coming for you. You're going to look for a name, and it's not going to be there. And you're going to think about this, and I'm telling you, it's coming for you. But I don't think it's ideal facing a.
It would be a move of desperation.
Yeah, it would be a desperation move, right?
Yeah,
that's perfect way of putting it, Dave.
Yeah, but it would be an interesting move if they have to do that. I guess the last thing I would say, and we got some other topics we want to get to. It's paramount that the 49ers keep this close. Like last week, the defense kept that close and gave them a chance to win with a special teams touchdown, and that doesn't happen if this game isn't close. And if the 49ers have to open it up with Garoppolo because they're down by 10 or more, then they're in trouble. The key is they have to. It would be great for them if they could get a lead, but the key really is they have to be within a touchdown so they can continue to run the ball, which is their strength. Even if they're not getting a lot of yards, they're eating up clock. They're keeping their defense on the sideline, and making the game shorter. That is the key, I think, to the game for San Francisco. Getting at least offensively, get the ball to Mitchell and Samuel on the ground.
Although if you keep Stafford off the field, you are missing out on the opportunity for that break your back type interception. That I'm still waiting for Stafford to throw.
You're still waiting? Yeah, it hasn't happened yet. The Cardinals kind of dropped one in the wild card game, but didn't have one last week either.
No, you didn't. He played well last week. I give Matt Stafford credit. I know he had to suffer with the Lions for a long time.
He did, yeah, really.
But he did not play well against winning teams when he was with the Lions.
Wow, I mean, it's the Lions though.
They had some decent teams up. The Lions did. He had problems, but there's still that interception that I'm waiting for. You wait.
Even the teams that were good in Detroit, who were their running backs? Their offense. Well,
that was the problem.
Yeah, their offense was all on him, and that's not
the running back
more with the Rams.
Now, when
The offense is
Jadine
not
Best
on.
went down with concussions and could not clear concussion protocol, and eventually he had to retire, that's the Lions never did find another running back, and that was a big problem
Yeah.
because yes, everything fell in his arm.
Mhm.
I get that. But
Well, today's video was brought to you by Prize Picks, a growing sports fantasy app. Use the promo code ASU when you sign up. You can get started today. There's other sports you can play on the app than football.
right,
We predominantly are playing football here at NFL, and we've got some picks here in the final few minutes of our show to get you started this weekend. But if you use that promo code ASU, you get a 100% match on your first deposit. Deposit $20, you get $20. $100, you get $100. The max on that first deposit match is $100. But get started today. It's real easy. Go into the App Store, download it, and then sign up with that promo code.
right, yep, absolutely. Free match up to $100. So go ahead, you got to get it. And even Dave says it's fun. Dave says it's fun. Come on, you've got to take a try at it.
Yeah, I've got 6 players for you. I got 3 players in each game.
Wow.
3 players in each game.
Go for it,
I was
Dave.
having some success last week with the picks that we had on our show. So then I did this huge 5-player bet placement with the final game, the Chiefs Bills, and that one I ended up not getting. I think I got 3 out of 5, so I made back some of my money, but not all of it.
Well, and that's the thing. You can play a flex where you don't have to get everyone correct.
Yes,
right.
Yes. That's what I recommend doing. If you're just getting started, I think the 3-person flex is the best. Right. If you get 2 right, you win, and then if you get all 3, then you win even more. Right. But yeah, I've got 2 3-person bets in each for each game. One for each game.
Okay. Wow. And from looking at Prize Picks, if you do think Matthew Stafford is going to throw an interception, he's on the board at 0.5, half an interception. So if he doesn't throw an interception and you bet below, you win. If he throws an interception and you bet he's going to throw at least 1, you win there. So if you think he's going to throw an interception, hit Matthew Stafford in the over on that one.
Is that one of your picks?
No, but I'm just saying.
All right, well, I'll get started here. In the AFC Championship game, I'm going Jamar Chase, 84.5 receiving yards. I think he's going to get over that. I do think Kansas City will contain him better, keeping him out of the end zone.
Yeah.
At least fewer than 3 times in this matchup. But I do think he's going to get a lot of yards. He's gotten more than 85 yards in the first 2 playoff games he's played. I think he does it again. Travis Kelce. One mistake I think I made in the last game last weekend where I had the 5-player placement was I went with some kickers, and I just thought there were going to be a lot of points scored.
I see.
So I think I overthought it, and I went with Dawson Knox as opposed to because he had a lower.
Oh yes, okay.
He had a lower receiving totals than like Kelce, so I went with Knox, who was not really involved in the game very much. So I'm going with some big stars.
You went with Gabriel Davis. You'd have kicked.
Yeah. I wish I would have gone with him, but so I'm going with more of the bigger name guys this weekend. I think they're going to show up. I think there's going to be offense, at least in the AFC Championship game. So I'm going with Travis Kelce as well, 70.5 receiving yards over. I think he'll get more than that. And I'm going with CJ Uzomah, who is probably a lesser known name, but I went with him last week too with the receptions, 4 catches. He got more than 4 catches last week. He had more than 4 catches in the wild card game. Again, his total is 4 catches tomorrow, and I'm going over. I think we'll get 5.
That's pretty good. Your first 2 picks, I agree with. I would say take them. Jamar Chase above 84.5, Travis Kelce above 70.5. If you're looking for a third receiver, though, I'm not so sure you might not want to take Brian Pringle at 33.5 yards for Kansas City.
Okay.
it might be a little surprise pick there, but
Yes.
so another thing, another pick I would say I would recommend. Joe Burrow is on the board for 2 touchdowns. Uh, that's how the Bengals score. Joe Mixon really does not power the ball over on the ground. A lot of what the Bengals do is scoring touchdowns, and I would say take Joe Burrow to throw. And he might actually throw a touchdown pass to Joe Mixon because Mixon is more involved in the game as a receiver than he sometimes is as a runner.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying take Joe Burrow to throw over 2 touchdown passes in tomorrow's game.
Okay. So in the NFC Championship game, I've got Odell Beckham, 4 catches. I'm going over there. I'm dipping back into the Deebo Samuel well, 36.5 rushing yards. I'm going over. And Matthew Stafford, I'm going with 34.5 passing attempts. I'm going over. I wasn't confident with Stafford or the passing yards or the passing completions, but I think he's going to have to throw the ball a lot to move the ball against the 49ers defense. I think they shut down the Rams running game, and I think the game will be in Stafford's hands, and I think he'll have 35 pass attempts.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how many times that the Rams put the ball in Cam Akers' hands, especially after last week.
Yeah, that's a good point too, which leads me to believe that the passing game will be even more involved.
That's a very good pick, Dave. I like that one. I didn't have that. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that from you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Take it. I took a couple of yours last week.
Okay. Did you win with them?
I think so. I think the ones that I missed the Rodgers one, which was mine. He did not have 24 completions. He had 8 completions on the first drive or 7.
Right.
And finished with like 20. So,
which tells you how bad he was.
Right.
Overall in the game, that kind of says a lot. Everything we say kind of exposes what Aaron Rodgers was last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, you never saw Twitter as exciting, as much fun as after.
Well, I'm sure, yeah. All your
after Green Bay lost, it was just a celebration for Bears Twitter.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
We loved it. So, but I like that Matthew Stafford one. I was thinking of going Cam Akers over on the rushing. I just don't think he's going to get that many attempts.
Yeah.
So I would stay away from Cam Akers as far as the 55.5 rushing yards. I don't think he's going to get it. So, but I like what you have for the game, Dave, especially the attempts for Matthew Stafford. And as I say, if you want to put that, maybe, predict that one interception from Matthew Stafford, that too.
Well, I mean that as long as he's throwing passes, as long as he's dropping back and not getting sacked, I'll be happy tomorrow.
Okay.
Or not throwing backwards passes.
Right. Exactly.
Forward passes. Shroom Grizzly, who I think is a first-time commenter, weighs in and says, in the end, Mahomes and the Chiefs will get it done. I believe they have depth unmatched across the board. Yeah, I think we agree with that too.
I think we agree with that. I think the game is close. We said that earlier. I would take the Bengals plus the 7. I would wait. You might still be able to get the Bengals plus the 7.5 because it seems like the Sharps are playing both sides of the game. So you might get that extra half-point hook. So, so you can wait. You're going to be able to get the Bengals 7 at any point. So don't worry about losing a point that going down to 6.5 or 6. If you're patient, you might be able to get the Bengals plus 7.5. That's the one you want to jump on.
Good advice. Yeah. Yeah. Cause that's a big difference. So we're out of time today. We wanted to get to some coaching carousel, but there's next week. I think we'll lead with that, but I want to tease it a little bit here. So I'll ask you real quickly, and if you can give a quick answer, what was your initial reaction to Sean Payton retiring?
Uh, I think he's been at it a while. I don't blame him for wanting to sit back. I don't blame him for wanting to take a step back and breathe for a little bit when he's looking at Taysom Hill and Simeon. Jameis Winston is quarterback next year. So,
Also, according to Spot Rack, a minus $71 million. They're $71 million over the salary cap. That's how I phrase it.
They're going to have a hell of a.
So they're going to have a heck of a time trying to get under that. They're going to cut a lot of veteran players, and it's going to be like a restart there, and definitely a restart with a new coach now.
Yes. So it'll be interesting to see who they come in with as coach. But I think the Saints are definitely going to have to be in rebuild mode. They got to cut some of that cap. They're going to have a lot of young players coming in, players that are going to be guys that they can fit under their cap once they finally clear some space.
Yeah.
A lot of undrafted free agents. The scouting department is going to be tasked with finding players for next season.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 21-9 against the Falcons. Yeah. Sean Payton win. So I think our audience is very happy to see Sean Payton going into retirement.
I would agree. Of course, a lot of that had to do with Drew Brees too. But
it did. But 3-0 or actually 3-1 the last 2 years without Drew Brees against the Atlanta Falcons. So,
and Matt Eberflus is the new head coach of the Chicago Bears.
We had to get that in, I guess, right?
Had to get that one in. So the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts was hired last week as head coach of the Chicago Bears.
And we'll talk all about that and the other coaching hires next week. Thanks for tuning in to today's show. Enjoy Championship Sunday. Truly one of the best days of the year. I hope you have a great time watching the games.
Yep.
And we'll see you next Saturday.
Have a great week.